Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, we're hooking up the Wii Speak microphone, learning some friend codes, and going online Nintendo style. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I'm joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. Mark, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, please.
How's it going?
Patrick, it's going so well. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
What are your feelings on soup?
Oh, my feelings on soup are not great. I don't. When I want to drink something, I want to drink something. When I want to eat something, I want to eat something. I don't really want to combine the two unless we're talking a smoothie. And is a smoothie just a cold vegetable soup? Possibly.
Oh my gosh, I feel like we might have just stumbled onto something.
I may have taken too many turns.
Their smoothies are cold soup.
Yes.
But wait. Hold on. I'm trying to map this out here. Smoothies.
We drive in a parkway, park in a driveway.
Smoothies, cold soup that we. Okay, all right, now I need to explain my train of thought, which will require a little bit of explanation.
Let's do it. Let's start at the beginning.
Okay, so when I was a few years ago, when I was dating my husband, when we were like early in our relationship,
yes,
I to this day still very much enjoy a good muffin.
Mm-hmm.
Muffins are not something that he really has any sort of relationship with, and so he's just like, oh, it's cake.
Yeah.
And I'm
on his side, by the way.
But that was upsetting to me because, like I separated cake and muffins, two separate things. Cake, bad for you. Muffins, breakfast food. I feel like
I'm letting you go.
Okay. And so I feel like when cold, like smoothies being cold soup,
yes,
was treading on territory that it was conjuring memories of breakfast cake.
Yes.
In a way that I don't know I can fully like map out.
Right.
But it definitely, triggered something.
You and I had this conversation a little bit off mic on Monday, but did you know that botanically there's no such thing as a vegetable?
This I did not know.
Okay, so botanically speaking, a vegetable, like something that we eat, you would really just identify as like a different part of the plant. A fruit is a well-defined thing, and some of the things that we call vegetables, culinarily speaking, are in fact fruits, but some of them are just like parts of the plant, right? So like there's no botanical definition of vegetable like there is for fruit, but there are obviously culinary definitions for fruit that differ from the botanical definition for fruit, and there is a culinary definition for vegetable where there is no botanical one.
Yes, no, yes,
which is the whole like smoothie soup thing,
exactly,
all wrapped into one.
Absolutely, like vegetable is just a term that we tell ourselves that way we're not saying, oh, you're eating like root.
Yeah, you're eating leaves. Yeah, that's right. We don't want to get into that.
Yeah,
I don't really care for soup. Do you?
No, I don't really. Soup is never a satisfying meal. I said it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Speaking of never a satisfying meal, my copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch. Would you like to borrow it? You certainly can. All you gotta do is email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com and give us a mailing address. We can send you my copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch. This is my copy that I bought with my own money. My copy that I played for a little while and gave up on, like most games I buy.
That's right. That's such a good point. You bought a copy of Sonic Forces.
Yes.
To play Sonic Forces.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, that copy of Sonic Forces did get lost, and I have since purchased a second copy of Sonic Forces that now goes out. I did not purchase that second one to play, but I'm considering that just a continuation of the original Sonic Forces.
I think so, yeah. Because you wouldn't have bought this second copy if you didn't buy the first copy.
Absolutely. It's probably the only game in my life that you could say that about. You play the game for as long as you want when it gets sent to you. Here's the process. You put your name on a list. Eventually, your name comes up. I shoot you an email and say, hey, you still want this thing? And you say, yes, I do. I mail it to you. You play it for as long as you want. You put it back in the envelope, send it back. I pay for postage both ways. It's the perfect borrowing program.
Yeah, we talk about it every episode, and so I don't know if people realize this is a real
This is real,
thing.
yes,
Like, it's an
yeah.
actual true program if you want to borrow Patrick's copy of Sonic Forces, or there might be a copy of Untitled Goose Game.
That's right. This is not like a botanical definition of a vegetable. This actually exists.
Here's another thing that actually exists: 5-star reviews of our podcast, and you can give them to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Anywhere that you can leave a review for the show, please do. Patrick and I enjoy it so much. It helps people find the show, so we can grow our Nintendo Cartridge Society. And Patrick and I just really like reading them. People say some really nice things, and that is always fun. So if you leave us a 5-star review on the US Apple Podcast Store, we can see it, and we'll give you a shout out on the show. But if you leave us a review anywhere else, we still want to give you a shout out. So let us know somehow. Hit us up on Twitter, email us. We would love to recognize people who are giving us 5-star reviews.
Or let us know on the Discord. You can join our Discord server. It is a private server, so you do need an invitation. But we are giving invitations out like candy. All you gotta do is ask for it. Again, either hit us up on Twitter or email us Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. All right, Mark, would you like to get into the topic at hand today?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's turn some Nintendo franchises into some online games. On Tuesday, we were giving Reggie more free publicity, which I know that we swore that
Come
we
on
wouldn't
this
do.
show, Reggie.
Come on the show, coward.
You owe us.
That's right. Do you think anyone has bought a copy of his book because we've talked about it here on the show? What's it called? Is it Changing the Game? Beating the Game? It's something the game.
Look, we're not giving away that much.
We're not
free
giving away that much
publicity.
information.
Yeah.
But last week we were talking about Reggie.
Come on the show and we'll get the name of the book right.
You coward. He was on some podcast and was talking about Nintendo's reluctance to get involved in online games in the same way that other publishers, and he specifically cited Microsoft, were doing, 10, 15 years ago. So we thought, wouldn't it be fun if we could go through some classic Nintendo franchises and figure out what they would look like either today or during the sort of boom of online games if Reggie had been successful in convincing Nintendo to bring their games online.
Yeah, because Nintendo, I would say the Switch era. Well, here's a question for you, Patrick.
Yes.
Do you think in the Switch era, because there are still some very strange things about Nintendo's online system right now.
Right.
Like the mobile app that I constantly have to remind myself
Even exists, yes.
that is the official way to do voice chat is through the mobile app, and there's no way to do it on the Switch itself. So,
which even begs the question of why bother having it at all when
I would be so curious to know what the usage of that is.
Yeah, because wouldn't you just, especially in this day and age, wouldn't you just bring up Zoom? Wouldn't you just use
Discord?
Yeah, yes. Wouldn't you just use Discord?
So, but the question I was going to pose to you is do you think the Nintendo Switch Online or Nintendo Online in its current state is good enough, or do you think we're just so used to Nintendo's online systems being kind of weird and a little subpar that we just don't even really think about it? We don't expect any better.
Well, I mean, we certainly don't expect any better, but I think that's bad, right? The Nintendo's online offerings are functional at best, and they're not even always that. I mostly don't play Super Smash Brothers online because I don't think it works really. Yeah, you can get in a match with other people, but people are going to be sort of teleporting around the map, and there's some weird lag in there, and it just I don't have any faith in that in something that requires any precision. We were talking in the Discord just yesterday about playing badminton online in Nintendo Switch Sports. Nintendo Switch Sports, and when that game is so precise in that when you're going to hit the birdie and it's far away, you have to time it pretty perfectly your swing with where the birdie is, and if you're off, if your timing is off, then you sort of dive for the thing, and then it's harder for you to recover, and that's how people can score on you. And precision usually isn't that much of an issue in Nintendo Switch Sports or like Wii Sports kinds of things. But like that's one place where like you can get kind of screwed over because your narrow window isn't the same narrow window that you're perceiving in your time and space because the game is online.
I feel like if I play the majority of my video games on Nintendo Switch, like,
Yeah.
that's basically where I spend a lot of my time. And because I'm so like Nintendo focused, like if Nintendo is the one console that you have, if you just play Nintendo Switch, then your online experience is probably like fine. But then when I do go to like a PlayStation or an Xbox and you realize like how seamless an ecosystem can be,
Yes.
then you're like, oh, Nintendo is still so far behind.
Yes.
I think they're, obviously it's in a way better place than it was even in the previous generation in a lot of ways. There are some ways I think
But there's
that
no
it's like,
Miiverse
there's
anymore.
no Miiverse anymore. But again, when you compare it to, what Sony's doing, what Microsoft is doing, you're like, oh man, they're still leagues behind
Yeah.
the rest of the industry.
Yeah, I mean it's I've been playing some like Xbox games online with my friends, Halo and Sea of Thieves, and both of those are super easy to make parties, right, and like join up together. We use like Zoom usually to talk, but that's because we want to like see each other. When I was playing Ghost of Tsushima this weekend with my friend Pete, and we were using like headsets plugged into the microphones, and it's very easy to send an invitation to play with someone who's already your friend. Either within the game or outside of the game, and like it all just works, and then like it all just rests in lobbies, and there's no interruption to your communication. Like I don't know, it's so easy and like frictionless now that you don't even need the. Remember back in the day when like you would visit my island in Animal Crossing and we had to like be on the phone to like work it out so you could get there. And we're already obviously friends. We know each other's codes and whatever, friend codes, island codes, anything like that. And it still takes forever. And like there's a big interruption to both of our play, and like that just was not the case when playing Ghost of Tsushima this weekend.
So Nintendo has a long way to go.
Long way to go.
But for the purposes of this show,
Yes.
we have a list, our trusty list of 70 games or franchises, Nintendo games or franchises. And what we're going to do is kind of like pretend we exist in a universe where Reggie succeeded.
Where Reggie is somehow a more persuasive figure than he is now. He's more persuasive than the guy who talked himself onto every podcast to get free publicity for his book.
So at the same time that like Microsoft was getting serious with Xbox Live, Nintendo was getting serious about their online features.
Right.
And what would franchises look like? What would games look like
Yes.
on Nintendo platforms if Nintendo had gotten serious about online earlier?
Is this a little abstract? Sure. Are we going to run into some problems when we accidentally roll Splatoon?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of the fun of the experiment. I also think that we shouldn't, like, what we're describing, or what I was describing with Ghost of Tsushima or like Halo or whatever, is a very like easy experience where I was describing positive things. But let's not kid ourselves, because there are huge aspects of like modern online gaming that are predatory or bad or not fun. So let's keep all of that in mind.
I also think we have to remember that, in this alternate history that we're proposing,
Yes.
Nintendo got serious about online 15 years ago, but they're still Nintendo.
Right.
So it's not like it was a direct it's not like they have the equivalent of Xbox Live Gold going for them, or Game Pass right now. Right. They're still going to do their own
Live Gold.
They're just going to do their own like weird Nintendo thing.
How long has it been since you've owned a Microsoft product?
Oh, in the 360 era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been a little bit. All right. This is great. We have our trusty list of 70 Nintendo franchises. Mark, would you like to roll first?
I'll roll first with our trusty random number generator. The first number is 51. So the first franchise that we're going to be talking about is Mario versus Donkey Kong.
Oh, that is fascinating. So let's talk about the ways in which Mario versus Donkey Kong already sort of is online. And I think really the only way that it is online is that like there is a level editor in one of the releases of Mario versus Donkey Kong. I'm sorry, I don't have it at the top of my head. And you could share those in a very like Super Mario Maker style like online portal. But like the game is not really about level creation. It was just like a fun feature that was part of it, right?
Right.
So Mario versus Donkey Kong, a little bit of a deep cut, but mostly those are the March of the Minis games. They're sort of like puzzle platformers where you're not directly controlling the characters. It's sort of Lemmings-esque. So Mark, what do you think? How does that become a modern online game?
I wonder if the path that they would have taken is kind of like 2-player online co-op where one person is, setting the minis marching, and then the other person's job is to like clear obstacles out of the way or, like close gaps. Almost like a Game & Watch, type situation. I'm thinking of like bridge crossing or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
That
Boy, what it's called Manhole.
Manhole.
Manhole
yeah.
is what it's called. Not Bridge Cross. Yeah, no, I mean that makes sense. Like a co-op sort of like gameplay element there. I wonder if it would even be like bigger, right? Where there's one person who's controlling the sort of obstacles and doors and stuff, and then like every other mini is controlled by like one person. So it can be. Oh no! Here's what it is. It's like a Dead by Daylight or Predator Hunting Grounds, where one person is playing as Donkey Kong, who's controlling the obstacles.
Yes.
And the other 4 people are controlling minis that are trying to march their way through the little obstacle courses.
That is absolutely what it is. Yes.
And you have to like. You only have so much power before like you're done being wound up, or because they're wind up toys, right? But you can get like recharged if you go by another mini and they wind you up. So you really have to coordinate with your teammates to thwart the Donkey Kong who's trying to smash you all.
Yeah, I think that'd be perfect.
This sounds like a fun game.
It does.
I want to play this game. All right, that's great, Mark. I'm ready to pull our second. This is now. A 69 game list. The number is 21, which means the franchise is Duck Hunt.
All right, pulling some interesting ones.
Yeah, right
up front.
Right.
Yeah,
1 and 2 are interesting choices, especially because like we haven't seen a Duck Hunt game since like 1986. Okay, so. What even is a modern Duck Hunt game?
Yeah, we should start there.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the core, does it become like a House of the Living Dead type light gun shooter? So instead of just being a
House of the Dead.
House of the Dead,
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So instead of just being a, single screen where the ducks are flying up, it becomes more like you are going through a forest and rabid ducks are like jumping out to attack you.
Is it still just ducks? You still only hunt ducks?
Oh, are we talking about a man, like all animals
like
versus
big
man
buck
situation?
Ooh, all animals versus man.
Yeah.
I like this better. The only animal who hasn't turned on you is that dog.
Is that dog? That's right. And you don't know why.
Yeah.
You're trying to.
Ooh, it's an ongoing mystery.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. But how? Okay. All right. So we've now crafted this universe where it's the birds, but with all animals.
Yes.
Okay, great. In fact, let's strike that. Let's make it all birds. So it is like Duck Hunt : the birds.
Yeah. Okay. That's even better.
Yeah. You're playing as Tippi Hedren. You're trying to get through. All the birds are pecking at you, and you're shooting them with your light gun. How is this an online game? Here's what it is. I think it's free to play. And when you are playing it without spending any money, all you have is the one type of like regular hunting gun, and you can spend money on better hunting equipment.
Oh,
you can spend real world money. This is a cash drain. This is a bad game that is trying to trick people into giving it too much money.
Okay, so in this alternate universe, Nintendo has gone. They're not. They're
Look, they had to partner with a lot of different people, and some people they had more sway over than others, right?
That's right.
Just like, now when they had to be like, hey, Dragalia Lost folk, like tone it down, right? They couldn't get ahead of this one, and so whoever was developing Duck Hunt: The Birds got out in front of it and was making a real predatory
Hey, I mean,
pay to win
the estate of
shooting
Tippy
game.
Hedren's got to get paid one way or another.
Yeah.
I love this pitch. I have an alternate one for you.
I love it.
It's still Duck Hunt: The Birds, but it. So let's say that was the Nintendo 64 entry,
Sure.
or the Wii entry,
Yeah.
and then as it continues to expand, it becomes this like Ark like game where it's an MMO world where everybody's kind of existing together, but it is still all birds versus all humans.
So it's like the last survivors of the bird apocalypse.
Right. So you're working, you're trying to like gather resources, like all this kind of stuff, because the birds are going to attack and they're going to peck holes in whatever resources that you have.
Right. Oh, I got to know, does everyone have their own Duck Hunt dog, or is there just one Duck Hunt dog in all of this?
I think everybody has their own Duck Hunt dog.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. I think that's comforting. I like that a lot. Also, I know this isn't what we're doing, but why isn't there a version of Nintendogs where your dog is the Duck Hunt dog?
Who would want that?
I want it. I want to take care of that. I want to rehabilitate that poor dog.
Duck Hunt, no, Patrick, you can't keep getting into relationships with dogs, trying to fix them.
Look, I know he laughs at me, but it's different when it's just the two of us together. Okay.
Doesn't sound like a good relationship.
Yeah, I think it's a very good relationship. These are two great pitches. I like them both a lot. I'd play either of these games, but I would refuse to spend money on my version of it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Mark, you may now roll between 1 and 68.
All right. The number is 15.
15. So what if Pikmin went online? This is an interesting question here, because how do you take Pikmin and put it online?
I feel like, so my first thought
Yeah.
is, again, kind of like a cooperative game
Mm-hmm.
where, actually, let me back up for a second.
Yeah.
I haven't played it. Because co-op exists in Pikmin 3, right?
Yes.
So how does co-op work in Pikmin 3? Are you are you controlling different, like...
You're each controlling a different, like, Olimar style guy, commanding different, like, sets of Pikmin around.
Okay. So Pikmin is kind of like Nintendo's take on, wow, I'm really blanking on StarCraft. It's kind of Nintendo's take on StarCraft.
It's sort of a real-time strategy game, yes.
Okay, so I like to imagine a world where, the people who got really into StarCraft and StarCraft 2
Yes.
got really into competitive Pikmin.
Yeah, this is totally what it is. It's competitive Pikmin. It's two people on a map, and they're fighting to control the resources. And by control resources, I mean like swamp them with Pikmin and like build little things and bridges and what have you. And then so that's got to be it. Is that now? Let me ask you this: can we stomach the idea of Pikmin murdering each other, or do you need to just use your Pikmin to like set other beasts against your opponent?
Oh, so you're fine with like Pikmins causing the death of other Pikmin, but they just can't be doing violence themselves.
They can't be doing the violence. Look, if they're just like they move the boulder aside and then like the big bulb thing like eats a bunch of Pikmin, that's a circle of life, right? Like that's okay. That's just that thing needs to eat, right?
I think you're right. I think that's absolutely true. I don't think that I could handle like having to witness Pikmin like tearing each other limb from limb.
It's too much. It's too much. And then I like the idea that this would also be, one of the parts of Pikmin that's like so stressful is that there is this time limit. The sun is going to set, and if you don't get yourself and the Pikmin off planet by the time the sun sets, you're going to be overwhelmed by monsters, and you don't stand a chance. I think that's a fun like Because one of the things that I found when I played Warcraft 2 back in the day was that matches would go on forever, right? Because you just start like building up your resources, and you fortify your little town, and it takes a long time for your opponent to chip away at you, and a long time for you to chip away at your opponent. But if there's this ticking clock of like it's becoming nighttime and there are just more monsters, I think that could be a really cool way to like speed up the pace of these things. You have to act now, or everyone's gonna get overwhelmed by creatures that eat all your Pikmin.
Yes, yeah. Man, do I really love the idea of like people getting really, really good at competitive Pikmin.
Yeah.
People being like, "Oh, what's your APM in Pikmin?" People have like crazy actions per minute.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean and this would have to be. Look, I know where this is a universe that doesn't exist. It would have to be on PCs, right? Like, because you need mouse and keyboard.
I feel like maybe this is where the Wii U could shine.
Ooh,
You get that gamepad.
Yeah, yep. And they would probably, and maybe they even did make a keyboard attachment for the Wii U, but that would be like a special Pikmin Online keyboard that you then you use the keyboard, and you've got the Wii U gamepad there for like the touch. Yeah, that's perfect. All right. Next, this is between 1 and 67. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I have rolled number 38, which means the game that we are discussing is Advance Wars.
I feel like this one is pretty self-evident.
It's pretty, yeah. Well, and like is part of what's available on, or what will be available on Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, that you can do versus battles online anyway, right? I think, and so obviously you couldn't do this in the original release, but you could do it locally, right? I do think that is one way that Nintendo has always been good about online-esque experiences, just being local on two different handhelds,
Yeah, there's a lot of instances where it's like the experience exists. You just have to have people in the same room.
Right. And this would be not that. This would be, you would have that experience, but it could be anywhere.
Yeah. I don't really feel like Advance Wars needs to become like an MMO or anything.
No, right, exactly. Well, and like it shouldn't be a yeah, it shouldn't be anything else. I think it has to be itself.
I'm sorry, this is total sidebar.
Yeah.
But I wish we lived in a world where Duck Hunt : all birds.
The birds.
The birds, that's right. Was a real thing.
It's not an oops all birds situation.
Because then we could there's a possibility we could have Tippy Hedren in Smash Brothers. And you'd have like an entire 45-minute presentation where Masahiro Sakurai is like showing all the moves that Tippy Hedren can do.
Yeah, I would love that, and he would have to explain why her down B is Hitchcock walking by with two dogs. That's good. We should start a campaign for that. All right, Mark. Now we are doing 1 through 66.
Yes. Is that me?
That's you.
Okay, number 23.
Number 23 is
Wii Music.
Oh boy, this is. Go ahead.
So when you and I played Wii Music, way back in probably 2008, maybe for the show.
Newer listeners will be surprised to learn that we had a fun time with it.
We did. I enjoyed Wii Music. It was held back really by, I feel like, two things. One, the music selection, no surprise.
Yes.
And two, it was like you would create this stuff, you'd have a good time, and there was no way to share it.
Yes.
And so I feel like really what Wii Music would benefit from so much, even back in the Wii era, is ways to easily share your creations, little music videos you would make, and just being able to like post them on Twitter. Twitter existed. Post them, share it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Send it to your friends.
Twitter barely existed.
Twitter barely existed, but it did exist.
Yeah. Fair enough. But yeah, there should be an easy way to, upload your arrangements of stuff to your SoundCloud or whatever. Put it up on Instagram. Yeah. So that I think that's one thing. But I think there's also was it Rock Band or Guitar Hero that had the like the TV mode or like the music video mode, whatever it was called, where it would just you like turned on a station. It was basically like a live play of just like music videos that you played along with. You didn't have like a choice in what songs you were playing, but it was just like the entire library of music that you had access to download.
Oh, cool.
But like, you know, in that same way, and this is another way that, you know, would be modernized to being online, that's not really the best, most consumer friendly thing, but just like, yeah, put a bunch of songs in there for me to download. Let me
Totally.
download every song in the universe. You know, I'll pay $5 for you know, all of Weezer Blue or whatever. Like, absolutely, I'm there.
Especially, I mean, again, maybe in this universe there are more iterations of Wii Music, but I love the idea that, you know, you would download the entire Blue album from Weezer and it'd all be the kind of like MIDI synth type stuff, you know, that was
Yeah.
happening on the Wii and Wii Music.
Well, and that's another thing too, is that maybe you could pay for more instruments, right? That you start with like the normal instrument pack, and then they're like, "Do you want a bassoon? You can play bassoon if you want to." You could buy certain people's voices. You're like, "Yeah, I'll pay $3 for Billy Corgan's voice."
Yeah, that's right. That was the bassoon was the tipping point between success and non-success for Wii Music for sure.
These are my two pitches for instruments to download: is a bassoon and Billy Corgan's
Corgan,
voice.
Yeah.
I mean that sounds like fun. I mean, whatever. If Wii Music ever comes back, I do hope they like lock down those controls somehow, because they weren't the most precise things that we ever messed around
No,
with.
but again, it was before Wii Motion Plus, and we're living in
And
a new
before
era.
Joy-Cons.
Yeah, exactly. We just got Nintendo Switch Sports, and so you know,
Is Nintendo Switch Music that far behind? I think the answer is no. I don't know what the answer is. All right. Now it is 1 through 65. Mark, I am rolling. I have rolled an 8.
Star Tropics.
Star Tropics Online. Oh my gosh. Mark, oh my gosh. Star Tropics Online. This is Sea of Thieves, right? Like, this is where you are in a large persistent world with a large persistent ocean. You're either out there on your own as an island explorer, a Mike Jones type, or you've got like a small team that you're playing with. But there are other teams out there on the ocean that are doing their own things that will discover you, and they will raid your sea ship and take your stuff if you let them.
I actually really like that idea. I feel like Star Tropics, you know, is such a specific experience.
Yeah.
But I feel like something like that could totally exist in the Star Tropics universe.
Yes.
And feel right at home. That, you know, the discovery aspect of it, the island hopping aspect of it, just kind of like that setting feels very Star Tropics.
Yeah, well, and like one of the things that you know, felt a little. I like Sea of Thieves. I think it's a fun game. It's just like a pirate simulator, basically, where it's the thing that I like so much about it is how cumbersome everything is. Like sailing a boat, you have to like raise the anchor, you have to turn the sails, someone has to steer, someone else has to like look at the map because like there's no HUD that pops up. Like everything is very manual, and if you had to do that while like controlling the submarine and stuff like that, I don't know, it seems like it would be really cool to have to coordinate with your friends to do that kind of stuff. But the thing I was driving at, sorry, was Sea of Thieves is great and it's fun, but it's sort of stuck in like the singular aesthetic of you know, like fantasy pirate adventure. And Star Tropics could include that, but it could also include aliens. It could also include just regular tropical island stuff. And hey, if we want to, time travel.
Right, yeah.
Could include time travel.
Sherlock Holmes era England.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So time travel and jump into fiction, which is something that the game does do. You could, you know, wind up in Egypt, right?
Right.
Cleopatra, you're delivering a pizza, right? Is that how that game works?
Do you think that I feel like because it's Star Tropics,
Yes.
the one rule would be you can customize your character in a lot of ways,
Yes.
but everybody has red hair and everybody has freckles and everybody loves baseball. Can't get around it.
Right. Everyone is American as all get out. Like, you cannot choose a non-American character, which means everyone loves apple pie.
Uh-huh.
Everyone loves baseball. And I'm feeling down on the state of the country right now, so I'm going to stop listing things. Mark, would you like to roll the next game? It is 1 to 64.
Yes, my number is 39.
39. So that means that we are doing Wii Sports.
I kind of think Nintendo
kind of
Switch
think they're doing it.
Sports-
I think
yeah.
they're doing it. But I will with the following modification. While Nintendo Switch Sports is effectively them bringing Wii Sports online, they're doing it in a very Nintendo way, which is to say they should be not should be. Any other company would be charging money for the like season pass of earning rewards the way that you earn them in like specific time periods. Anyone else would charge money for that. Nintendo is not. So thank you, Nintendo, for being reasonable where other people would not be.
It's interesting to me where they do explore that kind of stuff. I guess it seems mostly just to be like on mobile because
Yeah.
Mario Kart Tour is 100%, like season based or
Yeah.
I guess like tour based, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But it monetizes that kind of stuff very heavily. For some reason, they've like put up a firewall between what they do in mobile, and they haven't really adopted a lot of those practices on console games. Because
Yeah.
you're right, like Nintendo Switch Sports and those like not really seasons, but the different items that become available all the time.
Right.
Like, yeah, that feels rife for
Yeah, I mean the difference is you paid $40 for
Yeah.
Nintendo Switch Sports up front, and you don't pay anything for.
hey, that
Mario
didn't
Kart.
stop Square Enix with Chocobo Racing.
No, but I would like to not use them as an example. Well, so maybe that's really it. Is that in this hypothetical scenario, Nintendo Switch Sports would have been free, but then you would have paid for season passes.
Mhm.
And I don't know that makes it to me feel worse.
Yeah.
But I think that's just how this sort of thing works now. All right, am I rolling now?
Yeah, 63.
Okay, here we go. Number 47.
Donkey Konga.
Okay, another rhythm game. Do we skip this one? I feel like we.
I think Donkey Konga is pretty much the same answer as Wii Music.
Yeah. Okay. So let's eliminate it. And I'll roll again. How about
Yeah.
that? So now it is between 1 and 62. Generate 41.
Mario. Wait.
Yeah,
Mario and Luigi.
Yeah. So like the Mario and Luigi role playing games, right?
Yes.
Can't be an MMO.
No.
'Cause there are only two characters.
Mm-hmm.
Mario and Luigi. What's an online role playing game that's not an MMO?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I might be stumped on this one.
Yeah, I don't have a good answer for Mario and Luigi.
Okay, so what if it's like, did you ever play Journey?
Yes, I did play Journey.
So that's a PlayStation 4 game, maybe it doesn't matter. It was a PlayStation game, where you have these like sort of platforming challenges that you absolutely like need to have another player that you're playing with to like get through these areas and solve puzzles, and you become like sort of you travel on this journey together. But there's no communication tools, and they will never tell you, or they tell you at the end who you played with. But so it's impossible to team up with friends, and you never know who you're playing with, and you can only communicate in the way that you can control yourself in the game. So what if the Mario and Luigi role-playing experience just pairs you with your Luigi?
Yes. Okay, so what if like the framing device for this
Yeah.
is that Mario and Luigi get amnesia, and so they forget each other.
Yes.
Like they don't know who each other are,
Mm-hmm.
but they have to. They're in this strange environment because they don't know why they're in the Mushroom Kingdom or wherever they are.
Yes.
But they know that they have to work together in order to get out.
And what if they don't have their hats? So you don't know which one you are.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And whatever happens to you through the course of the gameplay with, whatever other character you're teamed up with, it is revealed who was the Mario and who was the Luigi.
yeah, or because they'll have like their overalls and stuff. So maybe it's in a world that's like they lose their hats and it's like a desaturated world.
Yeah.
So there's
That's
no, they can't tell.
It's from a dog's perspective. You can't see color.
That's right. That's right. Sorry. They have amnesia. And the
game-
whole thing.
Right. It's from the
It's
point
from
of
a
view of a dog.
yeah.
but only visually speaking.
Only visually.
But like this also speaks to the ability, or not to the ability, but to the fact that Mario and Luigi are sort of like pre-verbal characters, right? They will occasionally say words and sentences and stuff, but like for this game, they can't communicate with each other.
Yep.
Except for however you can do it in game. And so like you find yourself, you find your partner throughout this, and you have no control over who it is. That's what this game is. It's Mario and Luigi Journey style.
Oh man, that's so good.
I got real nervous there because I didn't know what we were going to do, Mark, but we did it. Would you like to roll
Yeah,
between
61,
1 and 61?
right?
Yes.
Okay. 58.
58 is Earthbound.
Another RPG.
Another RPG. This one I think could be an MMO.
I wonder, do you think it's an MMO?
Yeah, okay.
I hesitate like MMO, but do you think it's like Dragon Quest 9 where you can team up with other people, like all of that is totally possible to have other people in your party, but it's also possible to just play the game by yourself.
Yeah, well, and I think that there are a lot of ways where that's sort of true of MMO. Well, I guess you're always like in a persistent world with like other people running around like that. Yeah, so I mean, tell me a little bit more about how like the multiplayerness of Dragon Quest IX works.
Well, I never played it online, so
Right.
I only know it by the little bit of like reputation, but essentially
Why don't
like
you tell me what your experience wasn't?
yeah. So I mean, but there are like places you can go within towns to basically like connect with other people and bring them into your party, and then you can just go out and experience the world that way.
Yeah.
You can play the game together, but also I guess it's not that different from an MMO, except other than you were saying MMOs have a persistent universe where everybody's running around, and Dragon Quest IX was not like that at all. It's like everything is NPCs, everything is very set. You could bring specific people in to your game instance and play it together, but it's not like it was a persistent world that if I was offline and you wanted to get into it, that you could just like continue. You know what I mean?
Can I make a pitch then?
Please.
Because I think I like that, but I want it to be a little bit more the sort of Elden Ring model, where you can join up in someone else's world and like fight alongside them, or you can become a menace in their world.
And that feels very Earthbound.
That feels
I like that a lot.
so Earthbound, right? And I like the idea that like everyone starts playing as like a Ness type character, right? Like the sort of vanilla, like all around baseball bat Mike Jones style psychic abilities character, but that you can like as you're going you can build up other character types, so that could be like Poe or Jeffrey or any of them. Jeffrey or Jeff, what is his name? The little nerdy guy,
right? Yeah.
Is it Jeff? Am I making that up? Doesn't matter. You could be like that little nerdy guy where like you're developing specific skills, and then when you join up with other players, you can fill those roles.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. It is Jeff, by the way.
It is
correct.
Jeff. I nailed it. That's what this is. It's got to be. But is it still a turn-based RPG, or have we turned this now into kind of like
I think
an action game?
I think by introducing these other elements, it becomes more of a action RPG.
Yeah. That sounds like fun, and that's way, I think, more compelling than just being like an MMO,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Totally. What do you think? One more?
Yeah, let's do one more. And so this will be your roll between 1 and 60.
Okay. And the number is 49.
A lot of high numbers here. 49 is Clubhouse Games.
All right, we're rolling again.
We're rolling again because that one is sort of already. Did you do 60 again, or did you do 59?
I did 60 again.
Okay,
Should
perfect.
I do 59?
No, dude.
Okay, 24.
24 is
Nintendogs.
Nintendogs. Oh boy, I think this is a sad one, right? That it's a free to play, and you have to buy everything to make your
Keep
dog
your dog alive.
to keep it alive.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is the Nintendogs where they introduced doggy death.
Well, I mean, it's up to you. How much are you willing to? How much do you love the dog?
I mean, that is a great point. There is something sort of compelling about. Sorry, I was one step ahead of myself. This is where they turn your specific Nintendog into an NFT.
Yes.
So this Nintendog can be accessible from whatever device you're on, and it'll never be duplicated. It will be stolen, evidently, but whatever. So yeah, you can access the dog on any device. You have to remember that password, or you're never gonna access the dog again. And then yeah, you can just like pump money into keeping the dog alive forever.
Oh man, can you imagine what a disaster a Nintendo coded crypto wallet would
Oh my
be like?
god, you would have to know someone's friend code before you could buy their board Nintendo.
But I do like this. I do like this idea that like it's like your Nintendo is your Nintendo.
Yes.
Like that Nintendo will always exist in the blockchain.
Yes.
You can sell it to other people if you want.
Yeah, the monetization of your own Nintendo. There would be Nintendo breeders. Do you realize this? There would be Nintendo puppy mills.
That's the Nintendo equivalent of like minting Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Is like Nintendo puppy mills. That's a good one to go out on.
All right, those are how we would not how we would bring. That's what we predict. We peered into a parallel universe where Nintendo has cared about online gaming since 2008 or whatever. What franchises would you like to see have that same sort of thing done to them, and how would it be done? You should let us know. All right, Mark, let's close this out. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, and follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or on any of the podcasting things that play podcasts or collect podcasts or do anything with podcasts. If you like this episode, please share it on Facebook or Twitter, wherever you share stuff. It helps us out tremendously when you do that. People in your life listen to you. They care what you think is cool, and they will listen to the things that you're like, hey, this is cool. I think you should listen to it. So do that for us. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MK Mitchell, and the show is at Nin Cart Society. We also have a Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.